This is the fourth video in a series of 4 that demonstrates healthcare interoperability using Practice Today. This video will demonstrate the import portion of interoperability. Here's the plan. Part 1, import data, compare data. We will import the CCR Plus into a clean or blank instance of Practice Today. I'll use a blank data set so you can easily see the imported data. Then I'll generate a CCR from the imported data and compare it with the original CCR. This will give us a quality of import metric. More about this later. Part 2, reconcile data with the target patient record. We will select data elements to import into the target patient record. Then we will import the selected data, and finally, we'll check the results. Let's get started. First, let's import the CCR Plus into a clean or blank instance of Practice Today. We'll use this blank data set so you can easily see the imported information. Then I'll compare the imported CCR with the original CCR. This will give us a quality of import metric. Let's select the import button from the CCR from the Practice Today desktop. Select the patient's CCR Plus file. Click Process and wait a few seconds. Done. The new patient record was created and listed on the right-hand side. Let's click the account number to access the new patient record. I see patient info. That's a good thing. Interoperability has just transpired. But do we see the exact same info that was contained in the original CCR Plus? How do I know for sure all the information is here? Says the doubting Thomas. I have a method to determine that metric. We will create a CCR Plus for this newly created patient and compare it with the original CCR Plus that we received using my compare tool. The two XML trees should be very close to the same. This is easily done. Select Medical Records, CDocs, Create Document. Now remember, this is a CCR Plus for the data you just imported into your target machine. This CCR Plus represents the result of interoperability. Let's open the Compare tool. Now let's open Explorer and navigate to each CCR folder, the original one we received in the Practice Today Browse folder, and the one just created from the import information. Drag each CCR summary to a browse box. Load the trees. Click Compare. The two XML trees have only 3 differences, but these 3 differences are expected: the date and time created, the object ID, and the patient's account number. Everything else is the same. Excellent. The lower the difference score, the higher the confidence in the transaction. I would like to take just a second to discuss why this compare metric is important. Suppose you have 2 EHRs. Let's call them EHR A and EHR B. Let's say that EHR A defines the patient's last name as a 25-character field, but EHR B defines the patient's last name as only a 20-character field. When EHR A sends a CCR to EHR B, a patient with a very long last name will not be accurately identified in EHR B because their name will be truncated. That is not good. The Compare tool will identify these types of issues. The Compare tool gives us a quantifiable metric that denotes a level of confidence for this transaction. During one recent AMIA webinar, a question was posed. How do you recognize good and bad interoperability? I think the answer is quite simple. You recognize good and bad interoperability the same way you recognize good and bad science. Can the experiment or procedure be repeated with accuracy? We need a quantitative metric to demonstrate that accuracy. The Compare tool affords us that quantitative metric when comparing the original and resulting CCRs. So, we have demonstrated interoperability according to our definition. Yay! Let's take a minute to look now at reconciliation. That's where the recipient provider must decide what data she wants to import into her EHR for the target patient. This is easily done with our secondary style sheet. Launch the CCR Plus, select Medical Records, CDocs, select Secondary Style Sheet, Create Document, View. We will do the same for the target patient record in the target EHR. Remember, this is before we import any data. Access the target patient and prepare the CCR Plus. Let's look at the two CCRs side by side. After examination, let's say the recipient provider wants to import only the most recent meds and diagnoses. We make our selection with check marks. Then we click the Export button. An export file is created, and we will use it to import the selected info into the target patient's medical record. Let's take a second to launch this export file so you can see it contains only the selected information. See? Here's a subtle but important point. Notice that we have not yet imported any information into our target EHR during reconciliation. We have only examined two CCRs side by side. And remember, a CCR is like a text file. It's not an EHR database. Once we have selected the information we want to merge, then and only then will we pull that info into the target EHR databases. This means that only the data you want to merge will ever be imported. Let's import the selected data. So using the target EHR, we'll access the patient's record. Let's peek at the medical record. There are no medications and no diagnoses. Click Done. Now we will import. Click Pull from the Basic tab. Select Pull from CCR. Select the export file we just generated, and done. Let's take a moment and look at the medical record, and the medications and the diagnoses are now there. In closing, the intent of this video was to demonstrate that interoperability is alive and well using practice today. Please visit us, https://practicetoday.com, and thank you for watching.